I've been waiting for this feature since PeopleTools 855. Now, 855 was the first release with event mapping, and event mapping is amazing. But what if you want to apply event mapping to all components at once? Sort of like global event mapping, and that's a new feature in 860. So I want to show you how to use it. Now, event mapping starts with a related content service. And the related content service needs to be based off of an application class. So we know we're going to need a related content service. We also know that we are going to need the event mapping people code. So let's take a look at people books to get us started. And we see here the create global event mapping config, which is part of the global events mapping class. So one of the things that's interesting about global event mapping is that there's no user interface for it. At least not yet. So that means that if you and I are going to apply global event mapping, we need to write a little bit of people code. So let's start though with what we know about event mapping already, and then carry that forward into some global event mapping. So first, we need an application package. So let's start an application designer, create a new application package, and let's give it a name. How about JSM? Let's just go with global EM, event mapping, right? Global EM. Now, of course, in real life, you'd probably pick a more appropriate name, but what if we wanted to put all of our global event mapping into one application package? Now, here's the thing. Everything you put in the same application package needs to migrate together, and only one person can edit anything in that application package at any given time. So two people can't say, for example, work on different global projects at the same time. Anyways, let's go ahead and throw an application class in here. What do we want this application class to do? So global, meaning every component is going to trigger this event mapping code that we're about to write. I've got an idea. How about just a plain old simple hello world message box? That sounds like a perfect first example. So how about we call this hello world global EM? Perfect. Great. And then let's throw some code in here. Now we have a people code template for event mapping. All event mapping code looks exactly the same. So let's grab that template from our GitHub repository. And then we just need some code here. And that code would look like this. Message box 0. And then of course, hello world. Fantastic. Okay. So now we need a related content service for this, an application class based related content service. Now, how do I know that? Number one, I'm guessing because that's how event mapping works. If you go back to 855, you know that we create related content services. Now in 859, we don't actually see ourselves creating related content service because the PeopleTools team gave us a more friendly user interface. But in the back end, it's still creating a related content service. So let's take a look at PeopleBooks and see if it gives us a little bit more of a hint. So what we see here as the parameters are the service ID. What do you think? What are the odds? Related content service, and then a configuration name. I'm wondering about that one. Hold on to that for a moment. Let's go online though and create our related content service. We'll do it the old-fashioned way, the old 855 way. So down to PeopleTools, and then to Portal, and then to related content service, and define related content service. And let's give this a reasonable name, site-specific prefix, hello world, HW, GBL, EM. Perfect, love it. Very explanatory. Hello world global, GBL, global, EM. That's a common PeopleSoft abbreviation, isn't it? GBL. And then we'll go with application class. And our package name is JSM Global. And we didn't use a sub package, so we get to use the colon. And the class name, let's grab it from the list. Perfect. There we go. Related content service created. The next step is the registration. And as we see from PeopleBooks here, we need to use people code to perform the registration, which means we need a way to run some people code. Now, there are lots of ways to run people code, but I think the easiest way to do this is from an App Engine program run locally through Application Designer. So let's just grab the example code here and we'll fix up the parameters, replace them with our own values. So new Application Engine program. And inside this, we'll put in an action, a people code action, and save. Name for this, JSM GBLEM. And then we'll paste in our code. And here we see local Boolean status equals create global event mapping config. Okay, good. And the service ID comes from the one we just created online. Okay, now the name, or what does it say? Config name. I'm wondering, are there any restrictions on the name? What does it actually create? For example, guaranteed, this is metadata in a PeopleTools table. Those tables have field lengths, don't they? There's got to be a maximum length for this field, right? 255? I have no idea, but I'm curious. So I'm wondering, will the code shed some light on this? If we were to drill into the create global event mapping config app class method, does it give us any hints? For example, this is Oracle delivered people code, by the way. And you see here, portal obj name. Portal obj name. Oh, wait. PeopleBooks says config name is the first parameter, but the code says portal obj name. That is a field in the PSPRSM defin table, one of the most important fields in PSPRSM defin. See ref ID, right? So portal obj name. So it says portal obj name has a max of 30 characters. Okay, so we don't need to look that up. But they're going to pass in a prefix. We can actually see it down here, leaving 12 characters. That's what it says. They left us 12 characters. Okay, so our config name has a maximum character length of 12. Good to know. So how about JSM HW GBL EM? Did we make it? Is that less than 12? We're close, aren't we? That's too close. That is too close. Here's what I do. When I want to know the length of something, I ask JavaScript. 13. Okay. Okay, back to App Engine. Let's run this. What we're looking for is, of course, success. So let's look in our output. And it says App Engine program ended normally. So I think we're in good shape. We can test it out though by, how about let's open a new window, because we're in a component. We're doing global component event mapping, which means this should trigger everywhere. So new window. Did you see a message box pop up? I didn't see one. Let's try this. I want to do another window. Let's stay here on that page. I want to keep that one there. Let's go home. There it is. Okay, cool, awesome. It popped up in Fluid. See, the Fluid homepage is a Fluid component. Stay with me though. Let's try searching. Okay, so that was search save, right? So searching it triggered, didn't see anything. Search save triggered, didn't see anything. Drill in. There it is. Okay, so search events are out. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm wondering. We just configured global event mapping, but here's what we know about event mapping. It applies to events. Which one? Which event did this just apply to? I'm pretty confident, based on what we're seeing here, it was a load event. Again, which one? I wonder if we drill into the Oracle delivered people code, will that give us some insight? Oh, look at this. RC service config object is component service. Okay. Event rec name, blank, field name. Wow, these look a lot like the items that you would see when you're configuring event mapping in 859 and later. Comp event post. What do you think? Component post build? That's my thought. I think that's what we're saying here. Component post build. Interesting. So I got to think about this a little bit, and I do have some concerns with this. I mean, I absolutely love it, and I want to know how you're planning to use this. But here's one of the concerns. This runs against every single component. Of course, that's the idea. But what that means is if your code performs poorly, your entire system performs poorly. Concern number one. So be careful. You want to make sure that your code performs really well. This is great for lightweight solutions. Okay, number two, if your code fails, your entire PeopleSoft system fails. It's broken, right? Okay, so how do you recover if you have event mapping that breaks your system? I have two solutions. Number one, we can go back to our code. I mean, if you can, it may not be possible, it may be impractical to comment out the line of code. But I mean, that's one way. The configuration is still there. We just commented out the code. So now the configuration still runs. It's still going to attempt to run your global event mapping. There's just nothing to do. The other way, the hint is in PeopleBooks. Delete the global event mapping config. Okay, so now here's something I was thinking about. What if you don't know your configuration name? I mean, that's a parameter here, right? Delete global event mapping configuration. You need to know the configuration name. This data has to be stored in a PeopleTools table somewhere, right? So here is some SQL you may use to locate all configured event mapping within your system. And you can see I happen to have two of them. Now, I think this is a really cool feature and I'm looking forward to using it. But I'm curious, what are you planning to do with it? Let us know in the comments. We love to hear about your projects. We have a whole library of PeopleTools tips to share with you. Check it out at jsmpros.com/all-access to get access to all of our recorded courses, on-demand courses, videos, activity guides, and downloads. And while you're there, be sure to check out our live events as well. Or here's an idea. Do you have a team you'd like to train? Give us a call and let's get something scheduled. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more content. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.